Welcome back to Interview with the Bothan. We finally have Bothans again. No thanks to the Disney canon. And our anti-racist king, Gavin Darklighter. I'm Lou, and this is Lenny.
Hi.
Hello. And we are, for better or for worse, embarking on the X-Wing series. Well, I have forgotten to say this several times. These conversations are a lot more spoiler-heavy before we edit them. We do try our best to take out references to stuff we haven't covered, but be warned. How you doing?
I am good. I am very happy to be back in La Belle Province. Just got back from visiting my parents for 3 fucking weeks, which was, they're never going to hear this. It was a tactical error on my part, but you know.
It was unwise.
Fuck it, we ball. How are you?
Living the dream.
The Book of Job?
Yeah. No, I got back. I had visited my parents. I ended up staying several days longer than I thought I would because God decided to bet on my life for shits and gigs. Yeah. Well, today we're covering Rogue Squadron. Obviously written by Michael A. Stackpole and was published in January of '96. And we have not been here in a very long time. Published by Bantam Spectra, the Bantam era stuff. So, do you want to?
Yeah, let's
jump into the plot overview.
6.5 years after the Battle of Yavin, Wedge Antilles, after years of being paraded around as the Rebel Alliance's poster boy war hero, is tasked to reform Rogue Squadron. This assignment is not only militarily strategic, but also symbolically resonant. Being the unit that took down both Death Stars, Rogue Squadron has been folded into the Alliance's hopeful narrative that the Empire can be destroyed. Therefore, member selection is based not just on military skill, but on utility for propaganda as well. Meanwhile, Isan Izard, the head of Imperial Intelligence, still holds Coruscant, renamed Imperial Center. Through Izard, the Empire is still holding on to power as other warlords condense their power in the vacuum left by the Emperor's death. Izard assigns former intelligence liaison to Corellian security, Kirtan Lore, to take down Rogue Squadron. Lore has a personal interest in this matter as one of Rogue Squadron's new members, Corran Horn, really wants him dead. Corran Horn, a former Corellian security officer, thinks he is better than everyone else and spends a lot of the early days of training being humbled, most notably by Lujane Forge, who grew up on the prison colony spice mining planet Kessel. Calling out Corran, both for his inflated ego and for his obvious space racism, she forces him to integrate himself into the group more, instead of just associating with pilots he sees as his equals. En route to their new base at Talasia, the rogues are pulled out of hyperspace by an Imperial interdictor cruiser. Everyone makes it out alive, and Corran is saved by the Pulsar Skate, piloted by Mirax Tarek, an old friend of Wedge Antilles and the daughter of Booster Tarek, a smuggler. Corran's Corsec father got sent to Kessel. The two do not like each other at first, but Lore determines that the new rebel base is on Talasia and sends stormtroopers to raid it. Corran's danger sense gives the rogues a chance to escape, but not before stormtroopers kill Lujane Forge in her sleep. The youngest rogue, Gavin Darklighter, was particularly close to her. He and Wedge reflect on grief and death, as Wedge remembers his friend and Gavin's cousin, Biggs Darklighter. To aid in the Alliance's long-term goal of capturing Coruscant, the rogues are sent to capture the Imperial base on Borleus, codenamed Black Moon, on intel from Abothan General Lorin Crefet. This operation is staged without thorough recon, and the rogues and other Alliance units sustain heavy losses. On Borleus, under General Evir Dericote, had been organizing Alderaan biotics illegally. Due to Dericote's side gig as a smuggler of Alderaanian goods / GMO warlord, the base at Black Moon was much more heavily fortified than the rebels realized. Corran Horn and a commando, Lieutenant Page, commiserate about the disaster at Black Moon. In discussing the intelligence failure that led to so many of their men's deaths, they put together a plan that would make it possible for them to take Black Moon. Essentially a suicide mission, participation in this plan is volunteer only. Rogues with X-Wings lost in the last Battle of Borleus must also stay behind, including Irisi Delaret, who tries to wheedle the location of their operation out of Corran under the guise of erecting a monument for him, which is not suspicious at all. The rogues leave for Black Moon, but Mirax realizes something is very wrong. When she checks the price lists of goods to run, she sees that Alderaanian goods are wicked cheap and connects this to the rogues' mission on Black Moon and determines that the mission must be compromised. After hacking into Rogue's requisitions droid, M-Tray, Mirax and Rogue Squadron's executive officer, Tycho Selchu, follow the rogues to Black Moon. This leaves them well positioned to rescue Corran Horn, whose disobedience/heroics leave him stranded and out of fuel, while Rogue Squadron returns to base after a successful mission. And they celebrate. Wedge reminisces about the Battle of Yavin, and it all is, feels like a happy ending. But then we switch to a conversation between Isan Isard and Kirtan Lore, and we learn that there is a spy in Rogue Squadron. So, thoughts, feelings, concerns?
I love Noir Event.
I also love Noir Event.
I love Noir Event so much, and I love Rasati so much. And I asked, because I've told you about the EU Discord, and I asked in that, because there are a couple people who have done a podcast about X-Wing specifically, in which they covered the comics, the books, and the Union comic, which is the comic in which Mara and Luke get married. Because that's in a comic.
Oh.
No, I personally, I guess, I am a Corran Horn hater. I know you did not witness this because were you ever on Twitter? Very shortly before I deleted Twitter, there was a group of people who got really into Corran Horn. They would call him the Green Jedi.
Why?
I don't know.
Oh, he has green eyes.
Well, and he's got a green lightsaber.
Yeah.
But no, I like it. I think it's a very good, and I think it's the weakest book in the series, but it is what it is. You got to do a lot of setup.
It's the pilot episode.
Once Stackpole really gets a feeling for all of the characters, I think it really takes off, which is chapter 10-ish. And I know that's not how books are written, but you know what I mean. Yeah. It's you have to spend so much time doing expository stuff. Mm-hmm. It is what it is. Also, I love Gavin Darklighter. I love him so much. Yeah. He is the light of my life. He is the only good person in the Rebel Alliance, it seems. How do you feel about it?
How do I feel about this book?
Yeah.
Well, I liked it a lot. It was fun to revisit it because I feel like this is the first series that we've read that I have already read. Because when we did the Thrawn stuff, I was reading as we were doing this. Mm-hmm. So that's I don't know, it's a fun experience to do that, sort of knowing the trajectory of how things go. And then also because the Heir to the Empire trilogy happens after the events of this.
You got Colonel Thrawn.
Yeah, which I have comments about that, but I'll get to that. Because if he's a colonel after the Emperor dies...
He's a warlord.
He's a warlord.
But he's a warlord Grand Admiral.
Yeah, but he... Okay,
he declares himself.
He declares himself a Grand Admiral. That's how that works.
I'm 99% sure.
I think the problem is my memory folds canon and legends together in a way.
Keep what you want.
Yeah, whatever.
Also, maybe they don't know.
Maybe they don't know, because it was and I think in Legends, I'll fact check this later, it was a secret ceremony, as opposed to in canon where it was, everyone knew he was a Grand Admiral.
Yeah, because why would they make an alien a Grand Admiral?
Literally. Especially there's references to the segregation of, the alien.
I've got a whole thing about that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Okay, 1, Wedge Antilles matchmaker ? Why does he want his childhood best friend and Corran Horn to get together so bad? That's weird. 2, I know that Corellians...
the song from Fiddler on the Roof.
And I know that Corellians have no use for odds, but what the hell are the chances that Corran's father, who had personal beef with a man who ended up being the surrogate father for Corran's future commander, and then that commander low-key ships him and that guy's daughter? Are there 5 Corellians?
I needed to count this out loud. Okay, we have Han Solo, who's the original Corellian.
Yeah.
We have Wedge, who's also an original Corellian. We have Corran, Mirax, Ayala, Booster, Bria Theron. Bria Theron's parents, so that's 2. Okay, I'm at 10. Then we have what's his fucking name? Fleary Voru is Corellian.
True.
So it's at least 11. There are at least 11 Corellians.
They all know each other.
Well, they only know Fleary Voru because they're they know of him.
Yeah.
Because he was
was he the leader of Black Sun? No, that was
He's the governor
Princess
of
Izor. Oh, that, yeah. But...
Sorry. I mean, there's at least 11 Corellians. They're it's a pretty popular... That's why I did that conference paper.
On Corellians?
On Corellia, because I didn't want to touch the Skywalker lineage, and I wanted there to be at least more than one character.
That makes sense. Also, please, someone explain to me why Corran and Mirax flirt with each other by talking about how much their dads hate each other. That's just not hot to me.
It's a lot of things.
It's so interesting.
Really weird.
Also, shout out mentions of the Katana fleet and Thrawn. And I love how openly Nawara bullies Bror Jace.
Because he needs to be bullied.
He does. But, there's this one line where Bror is being braggadocious and Nawara says, wow, if ego could power shields, we would all never die.
Damn. Scathing.
Yeah. Also, I really liked M. Trey's like smuggler alter ego. I think my favorite line from the first time I read it and like the second time is when they need fuel pods to do the second run at Borleas, and M. Trey gets like 6, but like for the trade is kind of uneven. But so Wedge is like, what the fuck? Why did you spend so much money on these fuel pods? And M. Trey says, sir, when scrounging merchandise, you can get it fast, in good condition, or cheap. Pick 2. Also, I want to eat rice gate. It sounds yummy.
I think I've seen like...
I'm sure there are recipes on it.
We could make it sometime.
I want to make rice gate so bad. One last thing.
Okay.
Corran says, this rice gate might have been able
Darth Vader.
to turn Darth Vader into a Jedi again, which I think I had this question when we first read the second book in the Heir to the Empire trilogy, whose name I'm currently forgetting. It's not Last Command. It's Dark Force Rising. I'm so curious about how much people know about Vader and who he was, and then what happened before he died.
Luke Skywalker is just going around being like, that's my dad! He killed the Emperor! Because he's like a bright-eyed little kid.
He is.
And then at the very bottom I said I have no idea where to put this, but I can't stop thinking about in chapter 10 when it says, well, no one in Corellia liked the idea of slavery.
Yeah. That was like Corran's inner monologue, right?
I think it was either Corran or Wedge.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I could look it up.
Okay.
Well, actually, no, because I can't Command F.
What should I Command F?
No one in Corellia liked the idea of slaves.
Oh, no shit. You're telling me there's no match slave. Ah, there it is. Oh my god, he said this aloud.
Who was it?
It was Corran.
No, it was Corran?
Yeah, no. Because the other thing that's crazy about Corran Horn is that he's such a fucking narc that he hates Han Solo.
Okay.
Like, get real.
Let's do the remaking of Rogue Squadron.
Yeah.
And then we will do Corran Horn Hate Fest.
I can't wait.
Okay,
No.
the remaking of Rogue Squadron. So you mentioned in the plot summary that they've just been touting Wedge Antilles around because he's the only person to survive both Death Star runs. Like, in a starfighter, I guess. Because, like, obviously, Han Solo was on Endor in Jedi, and Luke was too busy getting electrocuted by Sheev, and, you know, it is what it is. But Tycho was at Endor. But what this really reminded me of, like, the kind of remaking of Rogue Squadron is Wedge keeps harping on the fact that, like, these kids, quote-unquote, don't remember Big Starklighter, with the exception of Gavin, which is never brought up.
It is when Lou Jane dies.
Yeah, but, like, no one's like, did you ever hang out with your cousin?
No one is like that, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also the reason why Wedge argued to bring Gavin in was because he's
Related
Biggs'
to Biggs.
cousin, and he was like, the symbolism, it writes itself.
He's a tactical mastermind. Garmbel Iblis, 12.
There you go.
Can't believe
we forgot, like, the Corellian.
Garmbel Iblis. And his, is her name Seneca?
I don't remember.
His aide?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're up to 13 then.
Yeah, at least.
Does Chewie
Well, no,
count
and
as
Bria Theron has a brother, so that's 14.
Is Chewie a Corellian?
No, Chewie's a Wookiee.
I know, but, like...
From Kashyyyk.
Yeah.
They have their own planet.
I know.
They're enslaved on it.
Yes.
But yeah, I was just thinking about...
Are Solonians Corellians?
No, because they're from Salonia.
Okay.
I wish I knew less.
I'm glad you know things.
I only know that because Cornhorn fucks an otter in the next book. But yeah, I was thinking about the way that... I don't want to say glup shitto. But, like, in the final cut of, like, the original Star Wars, Biggs does not have a single line, I don't think. And, you know, he does have lines in the book, and he does have lines in the radio drama. And, like, he was supposed to speak in...
A New Hope?
In A New Hope. But he doesn't. And then, like, Porkins has one line, and then he gets shot down by a gunner on the Death Star. And the way that these characters are kind of, like, made into these, like, iconic figures by a bunch of people who saw Star Wars and were like, wait, I really like that guy. What's his name? And he has an action figure. Wedge Antilles didn't have an action figure. I should have sent you that thing. There's like a manifesto about people who are really into Wedge Antilles. It's like, I'll find it when we're
I need to read that
on our break. It's really funny. But yeah, I was just wondering how you felt about that. And I guess that kind of like leans into the symbolism and also Gavin's inclusion, which I do have a note about that.
I mean, I feel like there's two aspects of it. There's the out-of-universe and the in-universe thing.
Yeah.
There's, like, out-of-universe people being like, that guy, you know? And I was
Ian McGregor's uncle's hot.
Yeah.
So.
No, because
I guess he plays Wedge, but
Yeah, because I was talking with my family about what I like about Star Wars, and I gave the example of like the Rancor trainer in The Return of the Jedi, when like it just like there's this really long shot of him just crying, and then we were like, who the fuck is this guy? And he has a Wikipedia page and a backstory about why he was so emotionally attached to that Rancor. And it's that there are these just
in both continuities.
Yeah, like
Love
this God, Luke Skywalker around here ruining the livelihoods of lowly animal trainers on Tatooine. But so I think because there's this term glepshido in the Star Wars fandom, like to articulate the phenomenon of someone being on screen for like 2 damn seconds, but fans being like, I love him, you know?
And we are that way.
We are that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, because
we both love Wedge Antilles. Wedge Antilles has like 2 lines.
Yeah, no, and it's really funny because I also am famously like, this has become part of my personality for better or for worse. And people are like, well, who's your favorite character? And I say Wedge Antilles. And so they say, who the fuck is that? And I'm like, well, let me tell you about Wedge Antilles, who like was such an insignificant character that he was essentially played by 3 different guys in the first movie.
But one of those guys is Ian McGregor's
uncle, which is great.
Which is why Ian McGregor went and saw Star Wars. Because his fucking uncle was in it.
That's really fun.
Isn't that so cute?
Yeah. Wow. It's like me watching one episode of Jeopardy because my uncle was in it and lost. And the question he got wrong was about something medieval, and he is a medievalist.
That's so funny.
I know. Yeah. So I guess, like, I don't know. That's the out-of-universe culture of, like, the Star Wars fandom, which isn't necessarily a super deep analysis. But then you have that sort of, I think, a great way for that to play out within universe, like, to give people something to like hold on to is, these people are dead, so unless you do a prequel about people who don't have lines or have 1 line, which could be done, but like why is just,
I mean, they wrote entire books about Boba Fett.
This is true.
And Boba Fett's first appearance is the Star Wars holiday special, so
important
in cartoon form.
Yeah, I can't believe we watched that.
I can't stop thinking about it.
No, that would, like, when I didn't have something to say, I would just be like, Chewbacca's father masturbates in the living room. He's given porn for Christmas.
With the mind evaporator.
Yeah. No.
I do have another thought. But I think...
But also we're talking about a rebel movement. Of course they're going to valorize rebels. Like, martyrs, but, you know? Like...
And I think there's the thing of, like, okay, out of universe, Wedge Antilles does not say much in Star Wars.
Mm-mm.
But people liked him enough, and maybe Stackpole liked him enough. I don't. I could probably look that up. There's probably an interview somewhere where he talks about it. These people liked Wedge Antilles enough. They wrote 9 books about him.
Yeah.
Like, he does have a much larger kind of a presence in the literature than in the films, except for the sequels, ?
Yeah, he's in those, right?
I think so. I don't know.
I
watched Rise of Skywalker and then immediately forgot it, which is the 2nd time that's happened, and I do not want a chance at a 3rd.
I'm pretty sure they get the same guy to be old Wedge Antilles in the
I think
sequels.
So. But I don't think he's in the... I don't know.
This is not mine to know.
Is he in Ahsoka?
No.
That's stupid.
I got into an argument with a guy who was running trivia at a bar in Boston because I said Ahsoka was bad. And he was like, I should dock your team points because you have bad opinions about Ahsoka.
Oh, that's because it's people who really like Clone Wars.
Yeah. No,
like, I have this... Like, I like Ahsoka as a concept, you know?
No, it's a great premise.
Like, I don't think it fits within the EU canon, personally. I don't think it really matters. But I
doesn't
like the idea of an Ahsoka-like character. The way they have handled her arc, and the fact that you have to watch Clone Wars to watch Ahsoka, and you have to watch fucking Rebels to watch Ahsoka, and you have to watch Tales of the Underworld episode 4. Like, I don't know if you actually have to do that, but like, you have to...
Well, it does give good backstory for the Dathomir witch's relationship with Thrawn, right?
You should read Courtship.
Okay.
I think you'd like Courtship. You'll be like, this is really weird Mormon heaven.
I can't... That sounds great.
Because it literally is. Like, do you know anything about the Celestial Kingdom? How they get their own universes?
Yes.
And they get to be gods? So, like, it's like a weird reversal of that. It's like the planet of Hapes there is one man. It's Prince Isolder. And the entire planet is ran by women. Because presumably, when you become the god of your own universe, it's like, what the fuck was Joseph Smith smoking it. Can I have some? Because this is in like the 1830s, 1820s, 1830s that he's writing this. And I'm like, this is very space opera.
Mm-hmm.
But presumably you would have women do all the bureaucratic work of your like god kingdom, you know? But they are like using Prince Isolde as a pawn, and they want Prince Isolde to marry Leia. And then for some reason Han Solo gets gets a hold of a mind control gun. It's very...
That sounds fascinating.
It's fucking wild.
Yeah.
And it's very controversial, I guess. But it's also where Dathomir is first introduced. Because the Dathomiri witches hate men.
Good.
Back to the point of what I was saying, is like, people, I don't know, maybe it's a Star Wars thing. I don't think it happens in Star Trek or Doctor Who as much. But also, I like Star Trek. It's fun.
Mm-hmm.
I think the new TV shows are too fancy.
Mm.
You know? Does that make sense?
I that does make sense.
It's like the CGI is too good.
Yeah, the whole point of this is that that's just like a guy painted a color, and it's supposed to be an alien.
Yeah. Well, and then there's like, and I think this is also an issue, not to harp on Disney, but like, I think it's also an issue with contemporary Star Wars where like, we don't need a movie about Han Solo.
No.
You can write books about Han Solo. That's fine. But like, I don't necessarily think that's what people are looking for. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense.
Is that like...
And that goes up to and including Andor. I think Andor would have worked a lot better as a book series.
Yeah.
I didn't hate Andor. Mm-hmm. But like, Rogue One does not need to be a movie.
No.
Is I think that, and like, the Ahsoka show could be a comic. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Where like, and I'd just be like, oh, like pre-Disney Star Wars is fucking great. But like, I think it does make sense to have, okay, you have these films, and they are like essentially ensemble films, mm-hmm. where you're not focusing on any one specific character. You're focusing on these very grandiose events, like blowing up the Death Star, or what do they do in Empire? Hoth and Bespin. Mm-hmm. Bespin's so pretty. Yeah. But like, when you have these kind of very, and that's the thing, is like Star Wars is a space opera, you know? So you need like the opera part. Like that is what, it's fantasy in another galaxy. Like it's fine. Mm-hmm. But then you have, you know, the made-for-TV movies. You have the Ewoks cartoon. You have the Droids cartoon. You have Clone Wars. You have Rebels. You have Bad Batch. Like, and I think all of the kind of like animated television, even if I don't necessarily really like Clone Wars, but when you have these kind of, it makes sense for the films to be, you know, for better or for worse, like the original trilogy, the prequels or the sequels. Like you have these kind of
like larger than life events.
Yeah, larger than life events. You're not focusing on one character. You have that kind of thing where you can get like, okay, you know, whether they did John Boyega dirty or not is kind of irrelevant, even though they did. But like, you have people who really like Finn. You have people who really like Rey. You have people who really like Poe Dameron. You have people who like really like the fucking Porgs, I guess. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But then you can use your kind of auxiliary media to supplement that. Mm-hmm. And maybe it's because Disney doesn't want to spend as much money on publishing. I don't know. They did the High Republic stuff. People who've read that really like it. Mm-hmm. And I think like The Mandalorian does this well. Don't quote me on that. But like,
I'm recording you on that.
I know. I guess he was introduced in, I don't know where he was introduced. Doesn't matter. But like, I think the TV show of The Mandalorian is a good way to like tell that story. He doesn't need a movie, as he's getting this year. Which we should go see. But, or I guess maybe wait for home video. Or like they're doing a Starfighter movie. Mm-hmm. Where like, I don't think, because there were rumors that there was going to be a Rogue Squadron movie a couple years ago. And I think in 2023 they were like, no, we nixed that project. And then that's when they started talking about the Ryan Gosling post Rise of Skywalker Starfighter movie with Mia Goth. It's a very weird.
That's a strange. Okay.
Very strange.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that would do well. Like, people will go see it because Star Wars fans fucking go see everything. Maybe I should say that, not having vape come out of my mouth, but whatever. We'll probably, I don't know, you want to go see the Mandalorian movie?
Yeah, we can go
see that. You know, we're gonna, if you really want to go to California for the 50th, we gotta start planning that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, you know, I watched all of Ahsoka. We both watched The Acolyte. I've seen all of The Mandalorian. I've seen the first 2 episodes of Book of Boba Fett. I watched the entirety of Bad Batch. Like, even if I don't necessarily really like, I do really like the Bad Batch. It's very fun. But even if people don't necessarily like it, they're still going to watch it. So they're just like putting out whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah.
But it's like the stuff that takes place in The Acolyte, and maybe this is just because the writing is not up to snuff, I personally feel like would work better in a comic
Mm-hmm.
than a TV show. I think you could have something like The Acolyte be a TV show, if it is.
Mhm.
Especially if you're spending movie money on it. Like, or you could even turn it into a very larger than life thing and make a fucking movie. Like, I don't know. You can do whatever you want.
Mhm.
They're Disney. They don't. Money is no concept to them, which is why they keep doing this.
Yeah.
But it's a weird combination of things, I guess, is my point. I think people really liked Wedge Antilles. People really liked Biggs. And they were like, okay, 20 years later, you know, Bantam is like, hey, person that writes sci-fi, do you want to write some books? We'll give you not a lot of money, because they did not give them a lot of money. And then they were kind of just like, you know, you write out your outline, you send it to Skywalker Ranch. George Lucas, if there's anything crazy. What does that mean? We don't know. We'll like nix it. But he also was kind of cool with letting people do whatever they want. I mean, have you seen the Robot Chicken Star Wars special?
I have not.
He worked on that.
That's great.
Like they basically, you know, that video where that guy is talking about Mara Jade?
Yes.
That's from the Robot Chicken.
Really?
Yeah. That's why Seth Green is there, because Seth Green made Robot Chicken.
See, I don't know enough. I thought Robot Chicken was animated.
Robot Chicken is animated. It's claymation.
Okay.
Seth Green also...
No, I don't know who Seth Green is.
He is... Did you see the live-action Scooby-Doo movies?
Yes.
He's the ginger.
No way.
Yeah.
So,
He's also Jewish.
good for him. But George Lucas yelling about how much he fucking hates Mara Jade.
Yeah, and
that's
he,
like a
kicks
vid
that guy's out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's from the, like, writer's room.
Oh.
From the Robot Chicken.
Is that a skit or a real thing that happened?
It's probably a skit, but
Okay.
it was in the thing.
In what thing?
Like, in the writer's room for the Robot Chicken Star Wars special.
Okay.
Because Seth Green has, like, basically, during that process, George Lucas gave them all of the information that he had about the sequels he wanted to write, which, like, I think he's still under an NDA for. Because when you work on stuff like this, like, you get a lot of information. He didn't care about the books as much, but because they're not his story. But Robot Chicken.
Robot Chicken is.
We
That's
can watch
fascinating.
that later.
I would like that. Yeah.
I made Patrick watch it.
Yeah, I was going to say, didn't you like just watch it?
I did. And it's really fucking funny.
Yeah. Okay. So, and this was all in relation to...
Someone asked someone to write a book about Wedge Antilles, and they liked Wedge Antilles enough they did it.
Okay.
And then enough people liked Wedge Antilles. So they bought it.
Yes.
Yeah. And now I think about Noir Aven like 3 times a week. Like, you know, like Noir Aven, a guy that only shows up in books and comics. Unfortunately.
Yes.
I know, the same thing happens to, like, the Clone Wars people. That's why people like Ahsoka so much. The in-universe and out-of-universe
Yes.
is connected.
Yes.
Because people who like these one-off characters that maybe have a line and maybe don't, or people who watched the Star Wars Holiday Special and fell in love with Boba Fett, will go on, not everyone obviously, but some of them will go on to write books for Star Wars. Then they expand on those things, or they write comics for Star Wars, whichever one. And when they go on and do that, they therefore expand the lore around this character. Or, and you have stuff like fanzines, and they did a lot of stuff like that as well, but it's kind of like a circular...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think... Sorry,
I tried to concise my point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was helpful, because I think... I don't know. But yeah, so then we have... But yeah, now we have all this story about Wedge Antilles, war hero, and he is fresh off the heels of a propaganda tour.
Yeah.
And
decided that he wants to be a shidduch.
He wants to be a what?
Shidduch. The matchmakers, yeah.
I thought you said shill, and I was like, what?
No. No, and that is a perfect segue into Wedge Antilles Matchmaker Incorporated.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of funny.
It's hilarious. Yeah, because, like, so when Corran and Mirax first meet...
Wedge is like, hey.
Well, no, because it's sort of like, because they introduce each other. Like, when they first meet, like, we have, like, Corran's inner monologue where he's like, he sees shapely legs and an attractive face, and
that's all that matters.
It's all that matters,
obviously.
Naturally. And he's surprised because he didn't realize that smugglers can be women, and
because he's sexist and racist.
He's both. He's all of it.
He's so racist.
It's crazy. Then he introduces himself to her, and then they both realize that their fathers are each other's #1 ops. And also, which happens. Also, like, I feel like Mirax's grievances are a lot more valid than Corran's, considering Corran's dad sent her father to Kessel.
Yeah.
Which, it sucks to be there.
It sucks to be there.
Yeah.
Was he running drugs? Probably.
Yeah.
Like, who cares?
Yeah, literally. But then, like, Wedge intervenes and is like, listen. Yo. Corran is not his dad. Mirax is not her dad.
Also, Mirax's dad is really cool. get fucked, Corran.
Literally. Like, because Corran's whole thing is just like, oh, yeah, like he thinks that because Booster Tarek is a smuggler, there could not possibly be anything redeeming about him or his offspring. And then Wedge is like, listen there, buddy, like, I didn't have anything. And
my parents were blown up.
Yeah. And he took me in. That was life-changing. He taught me how to fly. And now I'm fucking Wedge Antilles. So shut the fuck up. I don't know. I'm trying. What are the other Wedge Antilles matchmaker?
I think that's the big one, but he is very much like...
He's very invested in, or like curious about their goings on.
And I mean, he's not negative about Nawara, Van, and Rasati, Enir.
Yeah, I don't think he's like on record with a comment about that.
Well, because they're so background character.
Yeah.
They are my glove shadows, and I love them.
No, they're very important to me.
And nobody writes fanfic about them.
I know.
I've been on a Han Leia fanfic kick, and I don't know why.
The Force, man, I guess.
People got weird conceptions of Han Solo's personality as a literal drug dealer.
Interesting.
There are people that refuse to accept that Han Solo is a fucking drug dealer.
That's annoying.
Or a drug mule. Whichever one you want to.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, I went down the rabbit hole of like the Han Solo versus Luke like fandom war thing.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's a whole... I went down a whole thing while I was in Ohio about fanzines. Mm-hmm. Like Star Wars fanzines, because the University of Iowa has like a giant fucking collection.
That's excellent.
Of Star Wars fanzines that they got like 20 years ago. It's wild. Yeah. But like there are people that back in the 90s, I don't know if this is still really a thing, except it kind of feels like it's still a thing from the fanfic I've read. They're like, he would never smuggle drugs or weapons.
That's his job, though. What do you mean?
That's literally what he does. That's his job for the Rebel Alliance.
Yeah. That's insane.
It's so wild. But, like, I don't know. These people have just never fucked a drug dealer.
And it shows.
Because, like, also, like, the way that Harrison Ford, I know he doesn't want to be a character actor, but he kind of is. Like, even Indiana Jones, right? Like, Indiana Jones, he has a PhD and is a lecturer. Like, he is a professor. He's still kind of a shitbag. Yeah. And it's like, you've just never fucked a douchebag? Like, I don't... Yeah. He's hot. Yeah. Can't think of anyone who wouldn't do it. I used to not think he was hot, and then I grew up.
Same. Yeah.
That's actually what it means to be an adult.
Is wanting... Thinking
is being like, damn,
Harrison Ford
is really hot.
He's got something going on. Yeah, no, but then speaking of Han Solo though, is when the night before the second run to Borlaeus, Mirax and Corran come downstairs together because Mirax was sleeping in Corran's quarters because Oral was in the hospital wing, and she's wearing his jacket and then gives him a kiss on the cheek and then runs over to Wedge. And she is like, and he's thinking to himself, like, oh my God, like, well, they're quite different. I wonder how that will go. They're about as different as Princess Leia and Han Solo. Jesus Christ, if these two have as many ups and downs as Leia and Han did, I'm going to do my head in. Which, I don't know. I wonder, like, how that would necessarily, like, impact Wedge on a day-to-day basis. I mean, I guess... when you are working with people who are fucking but also mad at each other, it does make things difficult.
I mean, if you look at Empire, they are just screaming at each other literally the whole way. Like, very.
It's not really good for morale or like the smooth operation of a military.
I'm like, I have slept with people I worked with. Didn't go well.
Yeah,
and when it does not go well, it goes very not good.
Yeah. Yep. My ex was my manager at my thrift store. Yeah, that went great. So. Wedge Antilles survived both Death Star runs in a Starfighter, but also is really, really good at public speaking, which is cool. He has like a great speech in this when he's talking about Lou Jane's death before they cart her body into space.
What's your favorite candy? Huh? What's your favorite candy?
My favorite candy? Reese's Peanut Butter Cups.
Why?
Because they are the perfect ratio of chocolate to peanut butter.
Which ones?
The classic kind.
Like the regular ones?
The regular
you don't
ones.
Like the like Christmas tiny ones?
I don't like the Christmas tiny ones.
I love the Christmas tiny ones.
They're good, but they I just really love the disc.
That's fair.
The disc is really good.
I think the more peanut butter in a Reese cup, the better. Mm-hmm. which is why I really hate the minis
Yeah.
because there's too much chocolate.
I also don't like that.
But like the bells,
The bells are good.
The
I
bells
do
are
like the
great.
bells. I feel like what's holding me back is I think what I'm going to say will come across like I'm surprised that a fighter pilot would be good at public speaking, which sounds like an insult because it is. I kind of wonder, was Wedge Antilles always this good at public speaking, or did he have to learn it on the propaganda tour? Did he have people writing things for him, or did he just like innately know what to say? Or I just don't know.
what does he say?
Well, when he's talking about, so my favorite thing that he says in this book is when he's talking about Lou Jane after she dies in like the like ad hoc funeral ceremony they have for her. He says, and it's also interesting in terms of the way he tells a story about Lou Jane and other people who've died in the rebellion as martyrs and what that means for the rebellion. He says, I will not tell you that Lou Jane or Carter or Pirgi or others would want you to keep fighting, or that your fighting will make their sacrifice worth it. That's trite, and our friends deserve more than trite. They have given up what we fight to preserve. Our duty, and their silent charge to us, is to continue to fight until the Empire can never again strip life from those who want nothing more sinister than freedom for all.
I think that's very interesting because I saw your note on this and I was like, well, presumably, if you look, I think he's probably had a lot of practice eulogizing people under him, like in his command, because I think he has commanded Rogue/Red Flight since Empire Strikes Back. So it's been like a good 5 years or so, maybe. I don't know. I'm bad at math. But I think there also is the assumption that he probably did have speech writers when he was doing his propaganda tour. Because they would want him to say very specific things.
Yeah, definitely.
So it might be like a combination. And he probably prepared something beforehand because he had some time.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
No, and this is in a later book, but we do have a scene of him writing not a eulogy, but like a letter to
Akbar.
To Akbar. I was going to be vague because it's technically a spoiler.
Well, he's writing a letter to Akbar about something.
Yeah.
So we get to watch his writing process.
Yeah, which does like demonstrate that he has a writing process and like words are something that he has practiced being very careful with.
Yes.
And also, yes, he has a lot of experience eulogizing. A lot of his inner monologue is just, being faced with people that he's training who have a very high chance of dying. And I can't decide whether or not to bring this up now or wait until later if we want to talk about the conversation that he has with General Crefet in the briefing for Black Moon. But
we can talk about it now.
Yeah. There's like this crazy interaction when he's pointing out like all of the flaws in Crefet's plan and how he's saying that like his job is to make sure that people do not die under his command. And then Laurent Crefet says something along the lines of, oh yeah, and that's gone really well for you, which...
And the fact that he didn't beat this guy's ass.
Crazy.
A testament to his strength. No, I get what you mean. I mean, not everyone's good at public speaking. And it is something you have to learn. Like, and I'm sure you know that, and I know that. It's like the more
you do it, the better it gets.
The more you do it, the better it gets. When you repeat lectures, they get better because you are able to kind of go off the dome. But, I mean, we have yet to meet a Corellian that isn't eloquent.
This is true, yeah.
Even Han Solo. Who was orphaned as a child.
Indeed.
And raised by a Wookiee.
And so we've talked at length off air about why the fuck is Wedge Antilles so famous. Like, who the hell knows the name of fighter pilots?
My brother, actually.
There you go. But also...
my brother's never read X-Wing.
I think he would really like X-Wing, considering that his whole thing is plain.
He really likes Darth Bane. That's why he gave me the first Darth Bane book. And he could have bought me the second one, which has that fuck-ass cover with the two people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he could have bought me the Rule of Two, but he didn't. And instead he bought me...
Stupid.
I know.
In World War I, people really knew the names of fighter pilots because they were part of propaganda to sort of give, like...
Because they had just invented planes.
Shout
out to the Wright brothers. They're from Dayton, Ohio.
Hell yeah. They just invented planes. And the explanation that I read on Wikipedia, not Wikipedia, was that like because World War One was so grim.
Propaganda.
Yeah, propaganda. So Wedge Antilles uses propaganda.
Wedge Antilles is propaganda.
Wedge Antilles is propaganda. And it's also, I mean, in my head, I was just like doing a compare and contrast of like Wedge Antilles as propaganda and Flying Aces as propaganda in World War One. And one difference is that things in the rebellion, because of like their momentum, you know, first Death Star, second Death Star, R.I.P. the Emperor, and there's a lot of talk from the Imperial side of the rebels being really confident because they've had so many victories, which is different from how things were going in the middle of World War One, because it was it was a war of attrition, right? I mean, like after one day, you got 5 feet of land, and then you got to go. But like, what a shitty experience, man. That's a very dismissive way to put that. But
no wonder all of those guys were very anti-war.
Yeah, but apparently the like French press, for example, not the coffee making machine, obviously.
No, it actually was the coffee making machine. They were having the coffee do the propaganda.
That'll do it.
Sentient calf.
So the first fighting ace was Adolphe Pégot, and ace comes from the French las, which is from the French deck of cards, which I did not know until we had our little lunch break.
Which I did know, because I'm really obsessed with playing cards.
Which is great.
Because I'm normal.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with me.
There's nothing wrong with you. And so, yeah, designated a pilot that had 5 kills, very much like how aces work in Rogue Squadron and in the Rebellion. And it was a term invented to boost civilian morale during such an obviously stupid war, which, not to say that all war isn't stupid, but, you know, come on. And so, yeah, the first pilot to be an ace, Adolphe Pégot, he had been a flight instructor before World War I, teaching other pilots from across Europe. And because of his success as a pilot, and he was low-key hot. Did you click on the link?
I did not.
Well,
sorry, Patrick's texting me. I need to put this on Do Not Disturb as well.
Great.
He's just sending me wild shit. Okay. Sorry. Continue.
Do you want to talk about that or no?
Well, he sent me this thing. Any action by Americans, probably in reference to the stuff that happened in Minneapolis, will be treated as domestic terrorism. And he said, I thought this was real until I saw The Onion. And I don't know how to tell him that is real and has been real for the past... When was the Kent State shooting? 69? I don't remember.
Yeah.
I saw the plaque when I went toward Kent State.
There you go.
When I was 17. But no, that's been a thing for a very long time.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to tell him that.
You just tell him that.
He's such a wee lad.
Yeah, it's fascinating. He's literally Luke Skywalker.
I know.
Wee lad and planes.
Wee lad, planes, no understanding of geopolitics.
Does he like hot chocolate?
No, but I really do.
Yeah.
He's gotten really into coffee. He got like a pour over for Christmas.
That's really funny.
Did I tell you about this?
No.
So I have a Keurig because I don't care about
Yeah.
I can make good coffee.
Mm-hmm.
I have Vietnamese coffee filters. I have a French press. Like, can make good coffee if I want. I choose not to because that's just too much effort. But he's getting really into coffee. And I shit you not, he got this fucking pour over in this really nice kettle. And the day after Christmas, he was like, no, let me make you coffee. Worst cup of coffee I've ever had in my fucking life. It was kind of funny. And then I told my mom, and then my mom yelled at me because I should let Patrick enjoy things. And I was like, but that's I am letting him enjoy things. It's just fucking funny.
Yeah, and you didn't tell him to his face.
Yeah, he was working on plane.
Yeah.
He literally, the day after Christmas, went and worked on his plane for 12 hours.
That's beautiful.
I know.
Yeah. No.
Just let me have my Cafe Bustelo K-Cups in peace, please.
Literally. So, Adolphe Pégot, because of his success as a pilot, and he was low-key hot, despite his mustache. He had a crazy handlebar mustache, but...
Yeah, but didn't they all?
They all did,
Okay,
but he kind of killed it. You gotta take a look-see.
He kind of looks like the first Cuban baseball player whose name's also Adolphus.
No way. Maybe it's a syndrome. The Adolph syndrome.
Well, no, we just don't name people Adolf anymore.
That's true.
Adolf used to be a really common name.
There's
a reason we stopped naming people Adolf.
Yeah, I'm familiar. Anyway.
Oh, damn. He die in 1915?
Yeah.
He shot down?
Yeah. Well, because that's the thing. So his image was used for propaganda, and he was ultimately shot down by one of his former pupils that he taught before World War I, that he was teaching other European pilots how to fly. But then because the guy who shot him down was one of his former pupils, the Germans dropped a funeral wreath on the French side, which I think is
kind of really sad.
I know. And he also kept a lucky stuffed penguin that he kept in his fighter, and the penguin is really cute.
I'll go to that one. This is on Atlas Obscura.
Yeah, you have to scroll down to get to the cute penguin. I'll find
he kind of looks like Porco Rosso.
Right?
I think that's on purpose.
Yeah.
But
Look at this penguin.
oh my god.
I know.
Porco Rosso also hot. Just putting that out there.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking it. Yeah. So I don't know. It's sort of crazy that Wedge Antilles is so famous, but also I feel like the Alliance felt like having a hero would be helpful in getting people's support. And also, Wedge Antilles is hot. Great propaganda. You know, get a little fighter pilot out there.
Hotter than Luke Skywalker.
True.
Because I feel like, to the average person, Luke Skywalker is very off-putting and weird.
Yeah. No. He's talking about the Force all the damn time.
He's just like, I'm meditating. Okay, babes.
Yeah, okay. He's got two moods, meditating and hot chalky. But so Wedge Antilles is a symbol. Rogue Squadron.
Rogue Squadron?
Rogue Squadron itself is a symbol. As I said in the plot summary, the whole purpose of the reconstitution of Rogue Squadron this time, not just having an elite fighter pilot force, but also...
Which is important. I don't know why they disbanded it.
Yeah, I don't know why either. Because they're still in the middle of a war.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, but I guess they were like, no, Wedge propaganda
Wedge, we
time.
got shit you need to do, and all of your friends are dead.
Yeah.
So...
Wedge knows of the intention for, like, Rogue Squadron to be a symbol filled with symbols, but also it's interesting... Once Rogue Squadron's members are selected, they have a conversation where they kind of put the pieces together about the political weight of each of their symbolism in the squadron. Noir Aven is sort of the leader of this discussion. He identifies himself as either a token Twi'lek? Token Twi'lek?
I say Twi'lek.
Either a token Twi'lek or token lawyer. And he also talks about the personal motivations of each of the members of Rogue Squadron in joining Rogue Squadron as different forms of seeking justice. And he talks about how he is seeking justice that he couldn't get in court, which is fair because of the anti-alien bias in the Empire. Like, Noara wasn't allowed protocol droids because he's not human. So kind of crazy that he won. I mean, that's so...
That they let him be a lawyer
That they let him be a lawyer in the first place, but also...
Kind of wild. Because literally the questions I had was that, like, what does it mean for Rogue Squadron to be part of the propaganda machine? Because, like, there are two Thyferans in Rogue Squadron. Corran Horn is there for some reason. Like, we don't have enough Corellians.
Not enough Corellians.
Not enough Corellians in the Alliance. Which I guess makes sense, but, like, shouldn't they all be dicking around with Garmbel Iblis? Like, who the fuck? How many Corellian expats are there? I guess, first question. Because...
Yeah, they seem to all be everywhere but Corellia.
Yeah, like, and there's... In later books, like, it is alluded to. I don't know if this is an X-Wing, actually. Might be a Night Jedi, which is a book. It's a book that exists. There is, like, I know there is a significant expatriate population of Corellians. Because there's, like, a Corellian sector on Nar Shaddaa in the Han Solo books. There is a Corellian sector on Coruscant. And I guess it, like, makes sense because you think that there would be a lot of them from, like, all worlds. And, like, there is an Alderaanian kind of enclave on Coruscant. But that's also different because Alderaan was blown up.
That is different.
Very famously. Like, there seems to be a just fucking ginormous Corellian expat population. And do you know about the Dictat?
I do not.
You don't
Is
know?
it hailing?
Fucking looks like it.
Yeah.
So, presumably, most of Garmbel Iblis's troops, even though they are not present here, because...
Well, he's divorced from Mon Mothma.
Yeah,
now
he's currently being divorced. He comes back later. But, like, presumably, his ranks are staffed primarily by Corellians. And there seem to be, for every other, I don't know, if you wouldn't call it a nationality, but because we don't have an equivalent.
Yeah.
They seem to outnumber every other nationality, like 5-1, which is fascinating. Because there are just a concerning amount of Corellians. Like, how are you... Okay, yeah, you have two Thyferans, because the Thyferans are apartheid. They're doing apartheid. And then you have Wedge, who's Corellian, Tycho, who is Alderaanian. Cannot remember where Wes or Hobby are from.
Yeah, but they're not in this iteration.
I know, but I'm saying, like,
in general.
They pop back up.
I know, but...
When do
Wes
they come
Jansen... back? Fuck you. Wes Jansen comes back in Wraith Squadron.
Would you fuck Wes Jansen?
I would not fuck Wes Jansen.
I would. He's probably really good in bed.
Why do you think Wes Jansen is
because
really good in bed?
Because he's weird. Have you considered?
Wish I could type. Wes Jansen is from Tanab.
And then where's Hobby from?
He is from the planet Raltier.
Sounds like it's from the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Let's click on Raltier. It was a terrestrial planet located in the core world's DARPA sector in the Raltier system.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Raltiers in the Raltier system?
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
I know.
It's almost like Corellia.
It's so Corellia.
Being in the Corellian system and the Corellian sector on the several other things that have Corellia in the name. I did it once. It's never going to happen again.
I know.
Yeah. No. So you have two Thyferans. You have Wedge, who's Corellian. You have Corran, who's Corellian. You have Tycho, who General Psalm does not want there.
Mm-hmm.
Because...
he may or may not be a sleeper agent.
Which, like...
stupid.
It's literally just General Psalm and Corran. And everyone else is like, well, if Wedge says he's fine...
literally.
he's probably fine.
Yeah.
Also, it's like, it's Wedge's ass. It's not anyone else's fucking problem.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. Tycho does end up being a sleeper agent. The only group that suffers, I guess, is Rogue Squadron.
Mm-hmm.
As mean as that sounds. But Lujane is from Kessel.
Mm-hmm.
And there's other ones. There's a Gand.
Yep.
There's the Shistavanen.
A Bothan.
Is there a Bothan in it originally?
Yep.
Okay. They just replace that Bothan with a Seer?
Yep.
Okay.
Pesh Versik, who dies at the first Battle of Borleus.
He wasn't important.
No. But, like...
he's got a really similar name to Pash Kraken.
He does. Okay, yeah, so we have Noir Ven, Twi'lek, lawyer, Oral Quirg, a Gand, Rasati Ener, who I'm trying to figure out where she's from right now. She is from...
the hot planet.
Yeah, where hot bitches are from. The Empire forced her family to flee their home world of Bespin.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's fun.
I didn't know there were people from there.
I didn't know either.
Just kind of assumed it was it's a gas giant, isn't it?
That's what I thought. But okay, cool.
Heard.
Maybe that's why she's so hot. Because...
it's the good clouds.
Yeah. What's the point we're trying to make here? Symbolism?
That there are so many Corellians, but also symbolism.
Yeah.
Or like, what is the symbolism? Or does this need to be proportional? Because there's only like 10,000 human Thyferans. Mm-hmm. And you had to pick one from both ruling families to seem like you weren't...
yeah, so you won't piss the other one off.
Favoring one. But then, like, that's not a good reason. Like, that's just, like, not a good reason.
Yeah. I mean, well, Brodrace is good. Arisa Delaret has no damn reason to be there.
Except to be horny. She loves that.
Yeah.
Does she threaten Mirax in the next book?
She threatens Mirax in this book.
In this book?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we can talk about that after we talk about... I guess this kind of leads into the racism, bigotry, and slave cultures, so... Mm-hmm. But yeah, so, like, what does it mean for Rogue Squadron to be part of the propaganda machine? Does this undermine the goal of it being an elite fighter squadron? Does it, like... also, like, is this commentary on the human-centric rogue flight from the films? Because it's very hard to put a puppet in one of those human-sized models. Mm-hmm. And they did get better at it. They basically had it down by Jedi. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of the implications of, like, the rebellion was very human-centric. Mm-hmm. Both the Wookiees and the Mon Cala population were enslaved. Like, Akbar was one of Tarkin's slaves. Which then kind of goes into Corran out loud saying, well, nobody on Corellia likes slaves. Are all these Corellians in the rebellion because they don't like slavery?
I mean, Corran's in the rebellion because he had...
I'm not about Corran. Okay. I'm talking broadly. Because even like Han Solo, which I know you have not read the Han Solo books.
Well, I've listened to you give an academic presentation on it.
Yeah, but only one part.
So, but anyway.
I don't think there are audiobooks, but I have actual copies.
You have given me the EPUBs. They're on my...
you want the real books.
Oh.
Because I use the EPUBs for when I'm writing. You will get my annotations, though. But
yeah. Are
there just too many Corellians in the rebellion? That, like, it's like every third person you meet, Corellian? Mm-hmm. How many Corellians are in Corran Bel Iblis's fleet? Presumably a lot. Yeah. Because he fucked off before Yavin. Like, he fucked off very early.
Mm-hmm. I have more context of Corran's saying about Corellia, no one on Corellia liked the idea of slaves. It's when he and Tycho are talking about how Tycho can tell that Corran Horn doesn't like Han Solo as a concept. Corran winced. Quote, he smuggled spice for a hut. I understand he made some choices that made his life fall apart. I can sympathize with his freeing Wookiee slaves. No one on Corellia liked the idea of slaves, but he sank pretty low after that. And Tycho is like, so, yeah, when your life disintegrated, you didn't sink that far, so he shouldn't have? Something like that, Corran said.
Corran is such a bitch.
Which is so...
I guess now we can go into
It's so hard to talk about this book without talking about how much...
Corran Horn, more racist than Thrawn? It's more likely than you think. Because for what we've seen, I mean, obviously in the EU continuity, we don't really see him interact with any other Chiss. Mostly because he's dead by the time we're introduced to other Chiss. Is that a spoiler? Not really.
Yeah.
There are other Chiss later. We've talked about it.
Yeah.
Because Naruto is a family in the EU. They have last names like everyone has last names.
Chiss, they're just like us.
Human-like figure. Like, Corran Horn is so stuck up his own ass. And, like, I guess I could kind of combine this with my questions about, like, what does it mean to be a redeemed Imperial? Because as much as Corran Horn is like, I was never Imperial, da-da-da-da-da, what the fuck is Corsac? Like, dude, you have personal beef with Kirtan Lore because you were an agent of the state. Like,
Yeah, you were co-workers working for the state.
Yeah, like, okay, yeah, you're a subcontractor, but, like, Raytheon is a contractor of the Department of Defense in the United States. Like,
yeah, no. Oh my god. Sorry, when I was at the Aerospace Museum in DC, I was like, oh my god, look, it's the Lockheed Martin IMAX Theater. Wow.
They make really bad commercial airplanes, but really good. And that niche is, some of you may die.
Yep.
And that's fine. You can't do that with civilian aircraft. Corran. I'm going to stop saying corn like the food. Corran. Corran is racist to the point where he is not only biased against Han Solo because Han Solo is a drug dealer, which point to everyone being like, all the fanfiction girlies who are like, Han Solo would never... Yes, he would. What the fuck is Jabba the Hutt doing? Jabba the Hutt has sex slaves. Leia was literally one of them. It's in the movie. She had to wear... Carrie Fisher had to wear a metal bikini, which is swag, and I loved it when I was 5, because there's nothing going on here. I was like, wow, I could be that hot. No, I'm just gay. But, like, he's really weird to Lujane because she's from Kessel. And it's this kind of, like, it's very Calvinist. It's very predetermined.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, Lujane can't help
being from Kessel.
Being born where she was born, nobody can. Sometimes you have to smuggle drugs. Sometimes you really need money. Like, you know what I mean? Like, okay, you get roped into something. The next thing you know, you're selling drugs. Not to spoil, because I don't think this is really spoiling, but, like, in the Han Solo books, Solo is, like, basically doing petty theft. And he's basically, like, an indentured servant to this guy. And then he dips out. And it's like, okay, well, I'm just going to go find the first job I can take. I'm going to go take it. Because you are in crisis mode. Like, that's why people who, like, don't want to do sex work get involved in sex work, is because they need fucking cash. And it's just so weird that he just cannot comprehend that there would be people from Kessel who aren't evil, because presumably there's a staff on Kessel, and there is, but like a bigger staff than that, you know? There's people who have to, it's not a self-sustaining penal colony. Most penal colonies are not self-sustaining. Even Australia was not self-sustaining. That was on the other side of the fucking world. But then he's also just he's a little too self-aware, but not self-aware enough that he realizes he's being really bigoted. Yeah. Which is kind of plays into, like, the way that he talks to and about Tycho. The way that he talks to and about Mirax and Booster. Keep your fucking mouth shut, I guess. Yeah. And then I also have, he complicates the Corellian monoculture by being the most racist man imaginable.
He's unique in that way. Because the other thing, too, that's crazy is, like, when Tycho says, when your life disintegrated, you didn't sink that far, so he shouldn't have. Like, even though, like, Corran's life disintegrating entailed his mentor in Corsac, Gil Bastra, coming up with a bunch of fake identities for him, and he still had his Corsac X-Wing. So, like, he still had a
Han
support
Solo
system
was, like, 18
in a way. Yeah, and Corran Horn was a fucking adult, I reckon.
And
it's also just really self-absorbed to, like, measure yourself as, like, the
ideal,
the standard of how people should react to situations.
Well, and then he like gets really, is it in this, I'm sorry, is it this one where he talks shit about Tycho, or is it to Winter?
So he doesn't learn that Tycho was in Lusancia until the next book.
Okay.
In this book, he's collecting data about, like, things about Tycho that are weird.
Then he's like, doesn't he shit talks Tycho to Winter,
which is crazy
in the next book, which we will talk about.
We'll talk about
so
that.
I'll just bookmark that. And also, I know you don't know what this means because you have not seen Northern Exposure, but there is a character in Northern Exposure, which is this for one person that listens. Northern Exposure is this show that came out in 1990. I think it ended in, like, 96. It's Rob Morrow, who's really hot at that point. And what's his name? Look up Chris from Northern Exposure.
He's played by the same guy who plays Aiden on Sex and the City.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's like, if Emil was
John
hot.
Corbett.
But there's an episode of Northern Exposure in the 3rd season. It's season 3, episode 2, and it's called Only You. And the entire plot of the episode is that this character, Chris, who's the guy, played by the guy who plays Aiden in Sex and the City, is exuding these pheromones, and every woman in Sicily, Alaska, set in the middle of bumfuck, like, wants to fuck him. And it is, I was going to put it in the drive so you could watch it, but if you want, I can do that because it's so fucking funny. And it's like, he's just like making out with random women on the side of the road. And then this like travel optometrist who like works out of an RV comes into town. And he's like, wait, you don't want to fuck me? And she's like, no. And then he like falls in love with her because she's unattainable. But then like the other part of the plot is that Rob Morrow's character, Joel, is the doctor for this town. And he's like, I just like don't understand why this is fucking happening. What the fuck? So then he starts like studying Chris. And the way that women talk about Corran Horn is so similar to the like random woman pulling Chris off of the sidewalk to make out with him at the beginning of that episode. And it's really fucking funny.
Yeah. There's this one Humphrey Bogart movie where, listen, I find Humphrey Bogart attractive, but he's not a beautiful man.
He's no
John Corbett.
He's no John Corbett. But you know who is John Corbett?
Who? While you think about that, the Humphrey
Gene
Bogart.
Kelly.
No, Gene Kelly. Gene Kelly, is that Gene Kelly the right? Oh, the dance, Mr. Little Twinkle Toes.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, Gene Kelly.
Yeah, Gene.
Yeah.
Kelly.
Wow, I never realized how Gene Kelly and Jim Corbett are kind of in the same like family of guy, face wise.
Yeah, they're kind of hot in the same way.
That's really interesting. But
Humphrey Bogart is more like a Rob Morrow kind of hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's this one movie where like basically all the women in the film are like talking about how cute he is in this just really very exaggerated way, and it's really funny. Like he'll just like meet a woman and she'll be like, well, yeah, anything for you, baby, because look at you.
Also, Harrison Ford kind of hot. Trifecta.
Yes.
Because there's they do a parody of Indiana Jones in that show.
Oh, fun.
You should really watch that one because it's beat for beat the like when they get to Egypt in the first one.
Raiders of the Lost Ark? Is that the first one?
Is that the first one? When they get to Egypt because they're going to look for the Ark of the Covenant, which is Raiders of the Lost Ark, yes. Where he like gets into it with that guy who's very orientalized but is very obviously played by a white man, unlike all of the extras because I think they filmed it in Egypt. But he's like in the black outfit to like contrast with the rest of the people. Beat for beat that. And I was like watching it with Leo because me and Leo are watching Northern Exposure, which is why I brought it up. And I was like, damn, he's like got Harrison Ford rizz. If only they had made the Han Solo movie 30 years ago. Because who's the guy that plays Han Solo? But you know,
Alden Ehrenreich.
Yes. So go back to
my God,
have them both up at the same time. And you could also pull up Harrison Ford if you wanted.
Wow, Jim Corbett is also the name of a British hunter. A famous Anglo-Indian hunter, naturalist, and author.
Fascinating.
Who do I want to know? What? Fucking Aiden, Sex and the City. What is he? John Corbett.
I see his name at the beginning of episodes. Like every other man.
I think John Corbett has a longer face than Alden Ehrenreich. Alden Ehrenreich has a
now pull up Harrison Ford.
Face. This is really important.
Which one of those guys got Harrison Ford rizz?
Oh yeah, it's certain. I'll tell you what, it's not Alden Ehrenreich.
I mean, he's not a bad looking guy.
He's not a bad looking guy. No,
but
he's not.
Everyone's like, oh my God, he looks so much like Harrison Ford. I don't really think he does.
He doesn't look like Harrison Ford, and
I don't think you need to look like Harrison Ford to play a young Harrison Ford. You just have to have the same kind of like vibe.
Yeah. Also, I feel like it goes back to like the everyone is pretty and no one is sexy thing.
Yeah.
Like
there's so much sex in Northern Exposure.
That's fascinating.
It's really shocking, like watching it, how little sex is in contemporary TV. Like even on HBO.
Yeah.
Because like Northern Exposure was like network TV.
That's fascinating. Yeah.
There's an entire episode about a 63-year-old character getting a circumcision.
That's fascinating.
And that's the entire plot.
Wow.
It's because his 20-year-old wife, who's from Saskatoon, mind you, and also the 63-year-old character is from Yukon, because this is weirdly not a show about Alaska, but is instead about a show about a bunch of people that live in Canada that like moved
to Alaska?
To Alaska, kind of. But the guy, like Chris, the character is from West Virginia, and then Joel is from New York.
That's fascinating. Yeah, because it's like a fish out of water type thing, right?
Weird, yeah.
Yeah. No, you put that in the show notes, and I was like, damn, I want to watch this show now.
Oh, you should. It's so good. I have the entire
thing.
For you, baby, I will figure out how to get my jellyfin port forwarded.
Oh my God, babe.
So you can watch Northern Exposure, because holy shit, it is the best show I've ever seen, which is really funny because back to my manager, love you, Jax, light of my life. I think about him every day. My mom really liked Northern Exposure when it came out, so I have a Northern Exposure shirt that she had given me. And when I was training on the phones at this place, because you had to learn how to do, like, take orders, and they had you do it in the back instead of, like, being a host, is I had worn this Northern Exposure shirt to work, and he literally walked up to me, and he was like, have you ever even seen that show? And I was like, no, because I was, like, 19. I was like, no, never. I don't plan on it either. I was incorrect. It is so good. It is otherworldly good. And they bring up Star Wars.
Now I
and
have to
Indiana
watch
Jones.
it. It's part of my job.
Because you have Thrawn mention, oh my god.
I'm so simple.
Oh, that's why so many women worked under him. It was misogyny. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, misogyny is a hell of a drug. I don't know. I feel like, yeah. So we both in our notes have pulled out the instance early in the book when...
It's chapter 11.
Really?
I think so.
Is it the thing that I'm thinking of? When Rosati...
Yes.
That's chapter 11?
I think so. You can look it up.
Yeah.
Because I had an entire conversation with someone about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, need to get my facts straight.
It's in chapter 6.
I was in chapter 6?
So it's in chapter 6, the...
Or maybe chapter 11, they, like, interact in a way that's weird.
Yeah. No, because this is the...
There's also, like, 40 chapters in that book.
Yeah. So the rogues are talking about their room assignments.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And Noir Aven, shit-talking legend, is pleased that he is not roomed with Bror Jace because he's like, well, I don't want to fight with mirror space to preen. And then he also makes a jab at fucking Erisi Delaret because Rosati is roomed with her. And he says, Rosati, on the other hand, will have more trouble with the other Thyferin, implying that, like, you know, Erisi, vain bitch, will monopolize the mirror space. And then Rosati responds, saying, why? You think I'm going to worry about my looks to impress the lot of you? No chance. Rosati folded her arms across her chest. I'm going to be spending my time becoming the best pilot there is in this squadron, so romance is not high on my list of priorities. Corran smiled. Besides, you don't need to work to be beautiful, Rizz.
Hear me out. That's something you say to avert attention away from the fact that you are already fucking Noir Aven. Because by the end of the first book, I could not tell you exactly where. Oh, because there's like a scene later where Noir Aven like puts his, I think they call them brain tails.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to call them Leku because they don't call them Leku yet. But he like drapes one of his brain tails over her shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
And allegedly that's a thing that Twi'leks do. But also, I don't think you'd do it to a human lady just for no reason. You know?
Yeah.
Maybe it's just my headcanon. It is just my headcanon. But...
Well, we know that they're fucking because when Erisi is coming onto Corran, she uses them as an example to be like, see, there's no problem with fucking other people.
Well, no, that's when they're like dating.
Okay.
I think they were hooking up.
Yeah.
In a way where you would need to like deflect.
Yeah. I think the brain tail draping happens in the next book. Because I think it happens in the bar. Unless there are more than one time. That's
different. It happens more than once.
Okay.
It happens in the first book.
Okay.
Yeah. Because the question I had asked in the Discord, I was like, does anybody know how early they were like hooking up?
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like maybe halfway through this book and I was like, this, like their interactions seem like coworkers who are fucking they don't, like fucking in the walk-in, if that makes sense. I don't know, you haven't worked in restaurants like that, but hooking up in the supply closet kind of vibes. And you just like don't want anyone else to know because if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, I love them.
Yeah, no, me too.
And they are like officially dating by the beginning of the next book. So, which we can talk about in the next book.
Yeah.
In the next episode. Which will need to be recorded today. Oh my God, it's fucking 3 p.m.
Yeah.
Holy shit. What's the deal with Tycho? I think maybe we should talk about the way that the Alliance or New Republic, I don't know what they are technically at this point. I don't know if they become the New Republic after they retake Coruscant or if they become the New Republic prior. But like the way in which Psalm talks about Tycho.
Mm-hmm.
And the way in which Corran is so sussed out about Tycho. Because this is just a bigger question of like who is and is not acceptable to rehabilitate.
Mm-hmm. When will it become a priority for the New Republic to get bitches off Kessel who were tried as political prisoners during the Empire for just not supporting the Empire? Like, that feels like something that they should care a little bit more about, in my opinion.
You would think.
Yeah. But...
Okay, yeah, but we can still kind of talk about the Reformed Fascists because Corran Horn plays into that.
Yeah.
It's like Han Solo had gone to the Imperial Academy. Tycho was an Imperial pilot. I think Hobby was an Imperial pilot. Like, and this is very common where like a lot of the people who are in the rebellion or the alliance of the New Republic were formerly aligned with the Empire because it's a fascist dictatorship. It happens. But in the event of like, so Corran, well, he would not call himself an Imperial, was essentially a fucking brown shirt. Like, if it's acceptable to reform him, why is Psalm being so weird about Tycho?
Because Tycho was on the Lusankya.
Do we know that in this book?
They, like...
But he remembers being on Lusankya.
Yes.
What I'm saying is, like, how are we dealing with, in this context, dealing with returned prisoners of war when you are willingly letting people who presumably you're not vetting all that well? Because it doesn't seem like Corran Horn was ever vetted. Like, a lot of the people in the Alliance, even in the early days, like, it just does not seem like they were really vetting. And that's never really a big point. And I think maybe it should be. Which it does become a point in this series specifically. But the whole thing is that the people from Lusankya don't know that they were on Lusankya. They do not seem to chance the idea that he is not a sleeper agent and they wanted him to remember being there so that he would be distrusted by the Alliance. But also, maybe Isard is just not that smart. Let's be fucking real. But it really got me thinking about the Manhattan Project and Project Paperclip, which I'm sure you know what Project Paperclip is. I'm sure everyone does, but just in case you don't, essentially, in the kind of final hours of World War II, and this is not something just that the United States did, the Soviet Union did it as well, is in an effort to bolster their nuclear programs, which in the United States was known as the Manhattan Project. The United States was the first country to create a nuclear warhead and successfully detonate one. So what they did, essentially, because they were not going to try any of these people, because they really didn't, is like they are totally okay in that context with poaching scientists who were working for the German Nazi regime. And the Soviets were also okay with doing this, as long as they continued to uphold their nuclear programs. Or, you know, something like Skunk Works. Or, you know, basically just defense contracting. And I know you haven't seen For All Mankind, but For All Mankind does talk about this because Werner von Braun, I can say his name right. I don't know why he has to have a W, a V, and a B in his name. I hate Germans. They're evil.
Case in point.
All of those sound the same. But, you know, he was the head of NASA at one point. And there is an entire plot point of the show where he has this kind of like prodigy, like mentee. And she's a very Margaret Thatcher, 1960s girl boss kind of vibe, very autistic. And that's a whole plot point is he's like, you need to learn how to work with people in a group because you're just alienating everybody. But then it comes out, he's fucking Werner von Braun. And that, you know, he was using slave labor during the war to build weapons for the Nazis. And it is an entire plot point of this. It's like, this does not seem to be happening in the galaxy far, far away. And I was just wondering, like, why would that be the case? It seems like a very big, I don't want to say plot hole, because also at the end of the day, this is Star Wars. It's not that kind of movie. But like, I don't think there's like meaningful engagement. And maybe this is because a lot of the like literature in the 90s was like rehabbing the Empire and trying to make a just Empire. And, you know, trying to have people who weren't as comically evil as Tarkin and Darth Vader and the Emperor. But like, you don't really ever have that. And it's very weird.
It sort of, I feel like a one like in-universe justification is like because the rebellion is so desperate, it's sort of like we'll take anyone who wants to come work for us. Sort of
I
like
think we're past that point.
Yeah. Like at this point, we're past that point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Also, Tycho's been there since Alderaan was blown up.
Yeah. But I don't think anyone had a problem with Tycho being a former Imperial. I don't think the issue...
these are like kind of like parallel but similar questions.
Okay. Yeah.
It's like, if you think that he's a sleeper agent, you need to get him psychological help. They don't seem to be doing that either.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they don't seem to be making any moves to like help him,
Mm-hmm.
even though he defected 6 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
6.5 years ago, and like flew at Endor and like was very involved. It just feels very weird.
It is weird. I feel like they don't really have mental health care in the galaxy far, far away.
Well, maybe they should.
I think they should.
Somebody get
Corran Horn therapist right now.
please. Well, and that's like a really interesting kind of Evo chatter point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that they have the
With
mind
the-
healers in the Jedi Temple
Mhm.
for Depa Billaba. And they're like, we don't know if
Mhm.
might be a crapshoot.
Mhm.
She might be like that forever.
Mm.
Because if she ever gets better, she needs to go on trial for her war crimes, which
Mhm.
is like what you would assume would happen.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like you could get droids to do therapy. I don't think AI should do therapy in the real world.
No.
But they should maybe. They have medical droids.
Yeah.
I
No.
want a droid that has the same personality as Freud. Also, there's in Northern Exposure, Carl Jung is a character at one point, and so is Freud.
Like the real guys.
Not the real guy. I mean, they're dead, but like there's a guy. It's the
Mhm.
same guy.
hmm
It's the same like old man who plays both characters.
That's hilarious.
Because they both like come up.
hmm
It's fucking
I'm so fascinated by this television program.
holy shit.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Yeah. Also, if it's a sitcom that you like, it must be quite a sitcom.
It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
There's also so much sexual tension. It's like uncomfortable
Great.
most of the time. Yeah.
Lit.
Just like Star Wars.
Literally. Yeah.
But yeah, so like the difference between Tycho and Corran, where Corran was not a prisoner of war,
Mhm.
but did not necessarily like defect
Yeah. Well,
for ideological reasons.
no, he did not. He defected because of like Kirtan Lore had it out for him, and like Corran has this like narrative that like there was a meaningful distinction between the law enforcement that he wanted to do, which was like getting drug dealers and like getting people who like I'm doing finger quotes for those listening, like getting people who are causing actual harm in the galaxy versus what Kirtan Lore wanted Corsac to be doing, which was
Imperial shit.
was like cracking down on people who were like doing smuggling for the rebellion. And like Corran is like, oh, we should prioritize.
It's giving Thrawn and the pirates, low key.
Like he's saying we should hunt the pirates because they are actually causing harm. We should not be hunting Night Swan. Yes.
Doesn't make him a good person.
Nope.
But then you have Tycho.
Yeah.
Who defected
hmm
for ideological reasons.
Yeah.
Those ideological reasons being,
They blew up my planet in front of me.
yeah, like he is he survived a genocide. Like
hmm
that's
Like
probably
how is that
very
not
bad
enough?
for your brain.
Yeah.
And we are totally fine with little Mr. Racism
hmm
over in the corner being really racist to everybody
Mhm.
all the time
hmm
and saying racist shit to everybody, up to and including like people from Kessel. And you can't help where you were born.
hmm
Sometimes you're born in a penal colony.
hmm
People have sex, Corran.
Yeah.
Isn't that great?
Can't
You
conceptualize
can't
this.
imagine. But yeah, how do you feel about that?
Well, I don't like it. And I also, the other thing that is, well, to be honest, not great. Especially because I just,
Well, they also both Bror Jace and fucking the Bacta Queen, whose name is
Arisi Delaret,
Risi Delaret. They're white South Africans.
literally,
They're like actively doing apartheid.
yeah. And also, they're like Thyfera hasn't yet chosen a side.
Yeah.
Like, because they're the number one Bacta, they're the only source of Bacta in the galaxy. So they
Real
have a lot
Switzerland situation.
literally, they're like, well, we've got all this wealth and political weight, so we're going to just wait to see how this plays out.
And sell arms to both sides because we love money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so why aren't they under suspicion? Maybe someone should be.
That's what I'm fucking saying. He has such bad OPSEC.
It's
Like,
crazy.
It's fucking... Okay, onto the Bacta Queen.
Mm-hmm.
She tries too damn hard.
Mm.
We do not yet know why she tries too damn hard, but she
Mm-mm.
does. And also, I will say, like, even kind of taking everything else I know about this narrative out of the picture, the way that she comes on to Corn is very suspect. Like, it's very, not to sound, like, I'm not a girl's girl. I guess I'm not. No, but like, first of all, you're trying too hard. People aren't going to want, like, it's weird. It's weird and off-putting.
Mhm.
It would be that way regardless of gender.
Mhm.
But Corran doesn't seem to realize that it's weird.
Yeah. No, I think he likes the attention. A, and B, like, I think he kind of likes the beef between her and Mirax.
Just fucking
It's very
get
weird.
a job.
Yeah. No,
You fucking weirdo.
I know.
Sorry.
Because I also find, like, Corran's reflection, like, on... Because I feel like Arisi is very much, like, femme fatale, and, like, he views... like, he kind of Madonna whores them in his head. Like, Arisi is, like, femme fatale, and, like, Mirax's girl next door, he's got, like, a lot of, like, comparisons of their relative attractiveness, but also, like,
Their moral worth.
Their moral worth. And it's so gross.
Yeah. He's so fucking skeevy.
Yeah.
Like, and, like, this doesn't... Because, like, okay, not to be like, Noir Ven and Rosati don't have this problem, but I guess maybe we could talk about that next time. But they don't.
Mhm.
Like, it's like Rosati Yanir is a sexual being. Like, she exists and is a human being with agency. And Noir Ven is a Twi'lek with agency. And he does not seem to have hang-ups about that. Which is crazy, because usually cultures in which one half of the population is exploited for sex trafficking, they have really weird opinions. But he does not have those hang-ups in the way that you would maybe assume that he would. Corellia does seem to be a really, like, kind of more broadly, which I guess you would not know because you did not read the Han Solo books and you have not been thinking about this every day for 3 years. But there are a lot of really weird sexual hang-ups. And it is very, like, patriarchal almost, which is fascinating. I wish I could get into that more right now.
Yeah. Well, I think we're sort of getting a bit of a glimpse, which we'll get into more next book, but still in Corran's internal monologue about, you know, the relative worth of the women that he's not having wants to have sex with, is that he views there is something, like, morally wrong in just having sex for the point of having sex.
Yes.
Which is interesting.
Which is very similar to the way that Han Solo is in the Han Solo books. Is, like, in a way that Bria Theron is not. But...
Yes, I remember you talking about that.
Yeah. But I would say that having sex with a guy that you fell in love with when you were 18, so he helps you rob somebody, and then you steal all his money, that is using sex to get what you want.
Yeah.
And by nature of the Canadian immigration would be considered work. Because volunteer work is considered work.
Oh, good to know.
If you ever had a status, do not volunteer, do not do anything, nothing.
Fascinating.
Yeah, it's a whole fucking thing.
So there's
human members.
Yeah, well, there's the NHM program in the Empire, which, what the fuck is her name? It's got too many fucking vowels. Ula Ilor, maybe. She is pulled into questioning by Kirtan Lore, and Kirtan Lore is like, wow, this bitch is not afraid of me. That's wild. And he reflects to himself that it's probably because she was in the NHM track, which I don't really understand why being in a segregated part of the military would make you not afraid of a little bitch like Kirtan Lore. But maybe in his mind, like, the implication is that because, like, he's racist, obviously. So, like, in his mind,
presumably,
like,
she's also racist.
She's probably definitely racist. But like,
also, like, women are not human.
That's crazy. But, like, just to finish my sentence.
Sorry.
It's okay. Like, in his mind, he probably, like, it sounds like what he thinks is she has, like, grit because she had to work with non-humans, and, like, that was that.
It's the most harrowing experience you could ever have.
Yeah, it's really difficult. So, like, that's why she's so strong, which is a crazy thought process to have.
Yes.
Yeah. So she worked under Colonel Thrawn and a host of other alien superior officers before she had been given a ship of her own. And this is your note about glass ceilings.
Oh, yeah. So, first of all, would just like to point out, it's very similar to the Tuskegee Airmen. Who, mind you, were, like, one of the best pilot squad. Like, they were flight squads. They were doing shit because they would basically be given tasks that they didn't want white men to do. And they did it really well. And, I mean, when did they desegregate the military?
1948.
Okay, so immediately after World War II. And this came up kind of in the conversation with Thrawn, all 9 books about Thrawn is that, like, you know, the Empire's biased against aliens and women reached an unprecedented level of refinement in the Imperial Navy. ILR had been, you know, that specifically is, it kind of explains why there are no women on the Death Star.
Mm.
Also, not to be like, Disney canon, and but Thrawn broke a glass ceiling, because when you look at the original Thrawn books, you know, Heir to the Empire, etc., everyone's like, how the fuck did he do that?
Mm-hmm.
And then you get to the canon Thrawn books, and, you know, you kind of have this de facto racism, and the kind of like being a minority within your classroom and within, you know, a school and within everything else. Because I think we are probably far enough away from the desegregation of Western militaries, and this was like not the case everywhere, but is like, so you have your women's auxiliaries, like the nurses and the kind of admin workers. And then during World War II, you have women's auxiliaries that are doing a lot of grunt work. But like, it makes a lot of sense. If the entire military is segregated, how Thrawn becomes Thrawn in a way that does not necessarily make sense in the Disney canon, because we experience different kinds of racism now, and they aren't as keen on calling back to those kind of like World War II, World War I kind of tropes and aesthetics. And also, like, I'm not advocating for segregation, fucking obviously, but the lower levels of service in Disney Star Wars stories, like, they do seem to be pretty desegregated. And it just seems to be like there is just a definite glass ceiling where if you are not human, you just do not surpass that unless you are Thrawn.
Mm-hmm.
But if we have also, that quote implies that Colonel Thrawn had his own ship.
It's true.
Because I think like Admiralty is when you get a fleet.
Mm-hmm.
So going from just the Chimera to an entire fleet. Also, they changed the rank structure when they reset the canon. So there aren't lieutenant commanders, I don't think, in EU stuff. There aren't.
Where will Eli Vanto go?
Well, there aren't colonels. The colonel is an ISB thing in the Disney canon.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the regular military has that. But it's just very interesting because it would make much more sense to, I mean, if you're a racist society, right, you need to have squadrons of people that you can go send to do the dirty work that you don't care about if they're dying.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you are a fascist society or if you are a racist society. So it would make sense that the Empire would have squadrons of people that they did not deem valuable.
Mm-hmm.
And they also need somewhere to put all the women.
Mm-hmm.
Because women are temptresses and they're evil, and we don't want them anywhere near us, because what if Darth Vader is reminded of the wife he murdered? And I mean, a similar thing happened in Nazi Germany. You do have like women's auxiliaries and the German military in the 30s and 40s. And you have the nursing corps and the teaching and all that stuff. But it is, I don't know, it's just kind of wild. I just can't stop thinking about it. It makes a lot more sense to have a fully, like, you're talking about a fascist society, but I guess it does make sense if there aren't any countries. Okay, so what do you have about the non-human members? I can't read.
I loved this. Manhattan Project Paperclip. I promise I can yap about this. I am not taking notes. Outstanding.
I did yap about it.
You did. It was beautiful, and you tend across the board. I
just mispronounced Werner von Braun's name. I'm Coca-Cola. Sorry.
Hold on now.
That's why so many women worked under Thrawn.
Yeah. Oh, I did it, yeah.
Eli Vanto trans?
Yo. People have thoughts and feelings about that.
Yeah, I know. Do you know there's an entire subset of Luke and Wedge fic that's T for T?
Yes.
Fascinating.
I'm
not saying they're wrong, but like...
No. I wish.
Why can't Aiella and Wedge be T for T?
Why can't there be anything at all about Aiella?
There's a couple. There's that one.
The one that you sent me?
The swinger one.
Yeah, that I read in the Hellenic Society of Greater Montreal.
That I told you not to do.
But I still did it. I thought it would be funny. It's like, I'm embodying Hellenic values every day.
Reading.
Yeah, I don't have anything actually really in particular about non-humans.
Okay.
I think
I talked about it.
You did talk about it. So yeah, I didn't.
Well, that'll do it for another episode of Interview with a Bothan. Next time, we're going to be covering Wedge's gambling addiction, more officially known as Wedge's Gamble. Do you have any final thoughts?
I'm just really excited to talk about all of the things that we didn't talk about.
Yeah, because I wrote my notes while really high on the metro. Okay, well, we will see you next time on Interview with a Bothan. Artwork is by our glorious leader, Lenny Apesos. Music is by Thomas Seibel. The books themselves by the glorious Michael A. Stackpole. But yeah, we will see you next time. Thanks for listening. Don't forget, Family Guy sucks and is the reason we no longer have sex on TV.